Good morning. Welcome to Friday. Made it to the end of the week, July 11th. Good to see you this morning. I'm getting started a few minutes late because we are still on vacation, still out here in Branson, and our great friends that were with us here in the Airbnb for a few days. They just took off this morning, so I had to gather their kids. And it's always interesting, the setting. As you can see, my setting changes and moving around this morning, but good to be with you this morning. Good morning, Julie, and all of you that are tuning in later or on different platforms, and I may not be able to see your comments, but wanted to again jump in here and give you an update on what is happening. Always something new happening. Of course, even on vacation, things are rolling and the campaign never stops. Life never stops. We have to stay in the fight. So give you an update on what's going on. I'm going to give you a little bit from the book I'm reading here on vacation, The American Gospel. It's pretty interesting. So I'm going to bring you some of that. But yesterday, if you missed yesterday's live stream, I talked about the show that will be launching today. I'll be sending that out later today. The links and everything for the new show I'm launching that I'm real excited about. It's a paneled show, meaning I've got myself and 4 guests that sit down and dive into a particular topic. It may change from episode to episode, or we may have several episodes like we did this last one that focus on one particular issue. And the focus of the last one was DHS, and particular the child welfare portion. And of course, it's just heartbreaking. We hear a lot of stories about families that have been impacted by the system. And I'm calling for massive and extensive DHS reform. And like I said last time, when I'm elected to governor, then it will not stay the same. It will change. It has to change. We cannot continue doing what we're doing, allowing our children to suffer and allowing our families to be torn apart. And it's important to emphasize and highlight that this is not just the government's problem. This is our problem. It's a cultural issue at its root. And there are many aspects of that. I got quite a few responses. I wanted to highlight one of them. And I so appreciate the contributions and insights from people from around the state, because there's so many perspectives when it comes to this, and there's different layers of law and layers of well, however you want to say it. I got this response from a lady who's been in the fight, again, because her family has been impacted by the system. And she said this, and I know she won't mind me reading this to you, but she said, I saw your post about DHS this morning, and she said, that is what I needed to hear from a candidate. So that's always good to hear. I've been getting those kind of responses a lot since we've been doing these lives, and I'm not doing these lives to garner votes, but I'm doing this because it's a needed conversation that we must have. And I want you to know who I am, where I stand on different issues, and so we can have this ongoing conversation about how to really change the state. But she said, that's what I needed to hear from a candidate. And she said, that's what a lot of people and families needed to hear. And she said, it's increasingly difficult to find one person that trusts DHS in this whole state. She said, it's pretty much a consensus that they are not to be trusted and that they have brought that reputation on themselves. And I couldn't agree more. She said, something I wanted to make sure you knew about, I'm glad she did because I did not know about this, is that there are a few programs that hardly anybody knows about where the DHS will arrange a foster or guardian parent to have all their expenses and legal fees covered by the state, so that when the real parent tries to fight to get their child back, they can't keep up with the cost. But foster parents, they have bottomless resources. So very interesting um, point that she's making here about the state covering the expenses, the court fees, the legal fees for representation. And you have a parent who sincerely, they're not all sincere, but you do have a parent then who's sincerely doing their best to correct whatever mistake was made, or perceived mistake, or accused mistake, attempting to correct that out of desperation to get their children back. And they find themselves fighting a system and possibly fighting a foster family who has bottomless resources now because it's being funded by the state. And the parents find themselves being drained financially and just cannot keep up. So definitely an area that I'm glad she highlighted and that needs to be examined more closely about how do we do this. I don't think I want to, or anyone wants to, really set foster parents and bio parents against each other. That's not, I don't think, what anyone is trying to do. We're trying to discover where is the best placement for children. And DHS starts with the assumption that the best placement for children is to be reunited with their bio parents. And I would agree with that. That would be my default, is how do we get them reunited with their bio parents? But we have to determine if that's a safe environment. And, we have to be very careful before that child is removed in the first place to do a true, accurate assessment as to whether or not that child was in jeopardy in the beginning. Not just whether they were in preferred living environments, but whether their lives are truly in jeopardy, if they were truly being abused. And man, we need to scrutinize that more. I think we need better qualified caseworkers. That's going to require better pay. It's going to require a lower workload where they can give time and attention to individual cases. So definitely some areas we need to make improvements just with the caseworkers who are going in to do these evaluation. And then we talk about multidisciplinary teams and how they are working. They should be working with each other. And also highlighting the point that it's not DHS's job to do the investigation. When we talk about multidisciplinary teams, it's the role of law enforcement to come in and do an investigation to determine if a crime has been committed worthy of removing that child from the home. So all of this on the front end needs to be addressed and corrected before we ever get to the child being removed, and then dealing with this issue of foster families having unlimited resources and the battle of the bio family to get their child back. And so there's so many layers to this. But she goes on to bring up another point here. And there's another program that works through the judiciary where they can also help arrange for you to have all of your expenses covered so that you can fight the parents, even if they made necessary changes in their lives to get their children back. And even if they were falsely accused and had their children taken away and were exonerated. These are programs that the public doesn't know about, and maybe most legislators don't know about, waiting in the wings. I guarantee you most legislators don't know about this. I was in the legislation as a senator and did not know about this. So yes, very important. And this is where just the personal experience of so many individuals who have gone through the system and encountered these issues, they're able to bring it to light. Let me see. She also brings up a very good point that I believe needs to be addressed in the state. And this deals with transparency. So she highlights the fact that in some states, DHS has an open court system and anyone can look at the records. She says Michigan is one of those states. The false and misleading argument that DHS uses to keep everything in the dark is that it has to protect the children. She said this is hogwash because the children in these other states are not having any problems just because their systems are open. And I would agree there. This is an area where issues are kept in the dark. And as she says here in another part of this text, nothing good can grow in the dark. So in the effort and in the fight to have more transparency, more eyes on the issues, I think an open court system is a great thing to consider here in the state, where we have more open records. And if and when there is some corruption happening in the judicial side of things, then we have more public eyes viewing this. So, yeah, good points. I really appreciate this. And I'm going to shoot her a quick text back. So please send me your messages as well, whether it's on here or you email me. So Jake for the state at Gmail, or you can send it to me, Jake at jakemerrickforgovernor.com. Either one of those will get me. And this is live streaming on multiple platforms, so it's hard to keep up with all of the messages on all the platforms. But if you message me directly, I will be checking those often and try to get back to you. So I appreciate this grandmother who's impacted by the system. Man, I'm going to be launching this show later today called Drill Baby Drill. We are chasing the truth, cutting through the noise, and drilling down the issues to discover real solutions to the problems facing us here in Oklahoma. And, you know, it's a paneled show where I have multiple guests. We discuss areas like DHS, and I've highlighted some clips from yesterday. I won't highlight any. Well, I should have. Let me get you a little highlight.
It is time to drill, baby, drill. The show that digs deep, cuts through the noise, and gets to the heart of the issues that matter most to us in our great state. I'm your host, Jake Merrick, and tonight we're bringing you a no-holds-barred discussion with a panel of top-notch experts who aren't afraid to tackle the toughest issues facing Oklahoma, from energy independence to education, Second Amendment rights to economic growth. We're going to drill down to uncover the truth, find real solutions, and fight for the values that make our state strong. So buckle up and let's get going. It's time to
drill, baby, drill.
All right, let me introduce.
Yes, had to throw in a little Trump there, but that's it. And that's why I'm really excited about this, because we will get to the bottom of a lot of these issues and find and discover answers. So I'm having a great time doing it. Again, the highlight of my shows, my interviews, is to be able to sit down with experts who I acknowledge most of the time know more than I do, because they are specialists in a particular field. And to be able to sit there and hear from them and pick their brain and ask them those deep questions, that's where we get closer to the truth and discover real answers to our problems. So that's what we're going to do on this show. I'll be launching this later tonight. I'll send you out an email. If you want to jump on that email list, again, email me, Jake for the state at Gmail, or Jake at jakemerrickforgovernor.com. Be sure to, by the way, go to the new website for the campaign, jakemerrickforgovernor.com. And that's FOR, jakemerrickforgovernor.com. And go to the endorsements tab up at the top, and you'll see you can write out a quick endorsement and jump on this campaign. Really appreciate that. And then an even better way is when you get personally involved. So we are having an upcoming volunteer meeting on Monday. So it's just a few days away now. It'll be on Northwest Expressway at Great Faith Church. It is a great church. Pastor Luke over there has invited us to come use their facilities and host a volunteer meeting. It'll be from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at Great Faith Church on Monday night. And I mean, we had a great volunteer meeting last Monday. 20 people showed up in Chickasha, and we're going to really target Chickasha on September 6th with an Oklahoma Rising event. and things will be building in that direction. Then we're going to replicate that across the state. We have about 9 different cities, initial cities, that we're going to bring this Oklahoma Rising event to. And it is a powerful time. We did it at the state capitol, really praised the Lord, worshiped, and got to the heart of what this whole thing is about. But I'll also just lay out some of my campaign platform and make sure that this is something you want to be involved in. I told the group last time, I said, listen, don't vote for me and don't support me because I'm a nice guy, or because I'm a Republican. I want you to know what I stand for and for us to be aligned. Do your homework and make sure that these are the same values you have. Then you can be all in. And then when I'm elected, you know who I am. Okay. So I talk to people all the time. We have a conversation. I get to know them, and then I tell them I'm running for governor. And they're like, you got my vote. I'm like, why do I have your vote? You don't even know what I'm running on. Don't tell me I have your vote just because we had a good conversation. I'll still be your friend if you don't vote for me. But you need to know what I stand for, and you need to know what you stand for. And let's fight for truth together. Okay. But we need to get past this whole thing of we have a 2-minute conversation, and now we're gonna give our vote to someone. That vote is so important. That's saying I trust you. You need to know that you trust someone that will truly go on your behalf and represent you. And more importantly, represent truth, represent the Constitution. That is the primary role of your elected official. Although we are electing them to go represent us, yes. More importantly is that they are faithful to represent the Constitution. And so quickly, we will cast our vote or get behind someone that we know nothing about. I wanted to get to know you. That's why I'm doing this every day. I'm going on here live every day, well, Monday through Friday anyway, so that you really know me. That's my goal. And if you do not like me, if you do not agree with the things I'm saying, I do not want your vote. And I know that if I had a consultant, which I do not, if I had a consultant, that would be the first thing they say I need to correct is stop telling people not to vote for you. I get it. But listen, I am more interested in truth. I am more interested in making sure we correct things than just trying to win an election. I'm in this race that even in the process, I want to make a statement and help correct things. And this is where it starts, is telling the truth. Get to know all of the candidates, know who they are, what they stand for, why they're running, not just what their platform is, but why they have these campaign platform points. It's so easy to have a consultant to massage your message and put the bullet points on a mailer, send it out to everybody in the state, and hoodwink them into thinking you're somebody you're not. But we need to have these in-depth conversations where you know not just what I believe, but why I believe it. And we need to be aligned before I get your vote. Okay. So I appreciate you guys that ask me tough questions. And I've yet to get back to some of you because I'm thinking through them. I'm not quick to just shoot back a reply. Okay. I want to actually answer your question from the heart. So you know it's an honest response. So if some of you are still waiting on an answer from me, just hold on. I may be doing my own research to make sure. Maybe you've brought up something that I haven't thought about before or thought about in that way before. And I want to have an honest response. So, yeah, let's get to know each other. I will have this show releasing today. I'm excited about it. I'll actually, here's what I'm probably going to do. I'm probably going to release 2 shows today. And we did the very first one, which was a bit of a prototype. Okay. It was a test run, but it turned out really good. Great conversation. And it's not a throwaway conversation. So I'm going to probably go ahead and release that one as well. What it was an overview of the legislative session. So I had 4 amazing guests on. They all have great Substack accounts that you can follow. And we dug into a review of the legislative session. So I'm probably going to release that one, and you get a double whammy today. And I'll also release the show dealing with DHS. And again, the show is called Drill Baby Drill. We're going to drill down on the issues, discover real solutions to real problems here in Oklahoma. So, yeah. Also, I want to make you aware of, at the end of the month, July 24th, I'm going to be speaking at a GOP event, a big Boots and Bling. That's what they call it. The GOP Boots and Bling. It's going to be a fun time. And I'll be speaking there. So hope to see you there. You should get your tickets. I think you can go to the OKGOP website. Let me just double check. But you should be able to go there and get your tickets for the Boots and Bling. Let me see here. Let me make sure I'm leading you the right way, not leading you astray. Yeah, well, you can go to the Facebook page, the Oklahoma Republican Party, and yeah, it's got a link there. OKGOP.tv. OKGOP.tv is where I see it, and yeah, great time. So general admission is $35. That includes a barbecue dinner. And then you can upgrade to $75 where you get VIP access. Really awesome, really great venue. It's called the Enclave. And they have a neat set-aside room where you can come and engage with some of the speakers. I'll be there as a speaker. If you get this VIP access, you'll be able to sit down. We'll be able to have some one-on-one. And again, $35 for general admission, $75 for VIP. Then you can become a sponsor. They have different options there. And let's see here. Let me see if I can figure out how to post this for you on, let's see here. Okay, yeah, so I just posted that link. That's kind of a long link. Anyway, you should be able to click on that and go to register. But do that, and it'll be a great fundraiser for the GOP, and then to be able to connect with you as well. Let's see. I think I've covered a lot of the upcoming things. Let me read you again. I'm going through this book, American Gospel by John Meacham, and I wouldn't say it is from an entirely conservative perspective, but I appreciate a broad perspective and books and ideas that challenge my own ideas and thoughts. But this is highlighting the influence of faith and religion on the founding of America. The subtitle here is God, the Founding Fathers, and the Making of a Nation. And really good stuff. So I wanted to bring you a little bit of this, and then I've got to wrap things up because we're taking the family out to Silver Dollar City today, so it'll be a fun time. And let's see. So it says right here, in a draft of Washington's farewell address, which is powerful. I mean, if you haven't read Washington's farewell address, you need to go read that. But in a draft of his farewell address, Alexander Hamilton echoed the thrust of Rush's argument, talking about Benjamin Rush, and said, "Can we, in prudence, suppose that national morality can be maintained in exclusion of religious principles? Does it not require the aid of a generally received and divinely authoritative religion?" Talking about the influence of faith and religion on the American culture, I quote John Adams all the time, who said, "Our Constitution was written only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the governance of any other." And I believe there's so much truth in that because we are prioritizing freedom, we are assuming self-governance. And self-governance will only happen where there is a fear of God and an understanding of eternal judgment. So I then will do what's right, not because the law requires it, and not because there will be legal consequences if I do not do what is right, although that is a great motivator. But I will do what's right because I know that ultimately I will stand before God and be accountable to Him. And when you have that as the base, the foundation of your culture, then you have people that largely, the large masses of people will be doing what is right. They will stay married, for instance. They will honor their mother and father. They will take care of their children. They will love their wives. They will be honest in business. Now, of course, is this across the board? Even good godly people will make mistakes and sin and things like that. But this is the glue, though, that holds the whole thing together. And without it, if we do not have that, yet we are prioritizing freedom, then we enter into a very scary situation where you are giving godless people without a moral fabric the opportunity to do whatever they want. We want expansive freedom. I want to maximize freedom, and I want to reduce the size of government, keep government limited, okay? But that only works. It only works when you release people who have a moral code and an understanding of ultimate judgment. So while we have issues in our government, we have even larger issues and more important issues in our culture that must be addressed. And when we get the culture right, we will have the kind of government that we're desiring. But if the culture is not right, government then will be required to expand to deal with lawlessness. It'll be necessary because you'll have more people without moral guidance who will need to be restrained. Again, I use the road situation a lot. If you had people who had decency on the roadways, you could probably get by with looser highway laws, road laws, because you would understand, okay, we're in this together. We must work together. And while I do need to get to where I'm going, I need to make sure that I don't violate someone else's freedom to get to where they're going. And if I have road rage and crash into them, or if I'm selfish and I'm just trying to get around everyone and, forget whatever they need, I'm going to get what I need, then you can have mass chaos on a roadway. But where you have decency and respect and preference, say, no, go ahead. Okay. And I'm not going to just zoom around this person and pass them because there's an upcoming car. You're just considering everyone on the roadway. Then everything gets to flow. You may not have gotten there exactly when you wanted to get there, but at least we all got to where we needed to get. That happens when there's decency and consideration for others. But when you lose that and everyone is out for themselves, then it's necessary. You have more stoplights, more stop signs, more police on the road to make sure everyone allows for smooth travel. And when you compare that to the overall system, when there's decency and a moral direction, and we have this understanding of ultimate accountability before God, you'll have a culture that runs smoothly, more smoothly anyway. So we have a cultural issue we must address before we can have the kind of government that we all desire. And I will continue to fight for limited government while at the same time over here in the culture working on deep cultural change. It's my belief as a Christian that we need people called back to God. We need people that are born again, filled with God's Spirit, knowing God's word, and that all of that is sufficient to guide us and direct us. in that context, you will have love for your neighbor. You will have respect for your common man. You'll put others before you. And all of this is basic Christianity when accurately practiced. And that results in a culture that allows for maximum freedom. But over here in the government side, my push is not to have a Christian culture. It's to maximize freedom. I want to maximize freedom for everyone. But that only really works when over here we're doing our job in the private sector. Let me give you this. This is just some areas that I highlighted in this book, and I hope all that made sense. This is something I'm always processing, working through, thinking through, talking about. Okay, Dorn, what you're saying here, the culture of our current legislators at the state capitol needs to be put in check. Many appear to work for a paid lobbyist, not for the constituents who elected them. And I agree, Dorn, but here's my take on that. I don't think we change that by going to the Capitol, by going straight there and demanding that they listen to us. Because it starts in the campaign. Right now is the time to analyze, to look at how people are running their campaigns. Don't expect them to run it like it's always been run, okay? And then get there and do something different. I believe this to my core, that the change we're looking for must start in the campaign. That's why I am doing this differently. I'm not taking any money from PACs, good or bad, or lobbyists or special interests. I've drawn a line there, and I'm not taking any money from them. And some would say, well, doesn't that put you at a disadvantage? Maybe. But what is more important is my integrity. What is more important is that people know that I am for them, that I'm not bought off. And more importantly, that I'm truly not bought off. So if we continue running campaigns the way we've been running them, then we'll continue to get the politicians we keep getting, who, when they get there, no longer listen to you. They're listening to the ones who helped them get there and who will guarantee they stay there. So I would challenge you, look at how people are running their campaigns. Who's paying for their campaigns? I'm separating myself from the pack in drawing a line saying I'm not taking any money from any special interest, big money group. I'm going to depend on you, the people, and on the provision of God to do what I believe He's called me to do. So that in the end, I will only be accountable to God and the people of Oklahoma. I believe that's how we begin to correct what we see happening up at the state capitol. It starts in the campaign. And then we elect people that we actually know, not based on mailers, not based on TV ads, but based on you actually know them. And of course, how do you truly know someone? You can be married to someone for years and maybe discover you didn't actually know them. So yeah, we do our best to get to know each other. But I'm coming to you to try to be as honest and transparent as possible to that end. So at least you can get to know me. Like it or leave it, you at least know who I am and where I stand. But as they say, Dorn, politics is downstream from culture. I believe we change our culture, change our society, call people back to God, and we start living at a higher standard in our culture, that will result in a correction in the politics. I really believe that. Let me read you this next bit here from this book. This author goes on to say, practical men, they were, after all, politicians. Many of the founders based their belief in the connection between religion and morality on the threat of future reward or punishment. People would be more likely to do right on earth if they believed they were to be held accountable before God. To Hamilton, Hamilton said, morality must fall without religion. And Adams believed that every man, woman, and child would be well advised to take opium if there were no afterlife. Adams said, for I am certain there is nothing in this world worth living for but hope, and every hope will fail us if the last hope, that of a future state, is extinguished. So that understanding of an afterlife, of future judgment, that is what drives us. That is what gives us hope. That is what causes us to live right and uprightly and righteously, whether someone's looking or not, whether we can get away with it legally or not. We will live righteously because we're accountable ultimately to God. And this is the fundamental belief of our founding fathers. He goes on to say, if religion was, as Madison once said, a luster to our country, then religion itself, public or private, was not only about the threat of damnation either. For many, faith in God fueled lives of goodness and charity and selflessness. Real Christians will abstain from violating the rights of others. And that's what John Jay said. John Jay said, real Christians will abstain from violating the rights of others. And the religious habit of mind played a role in fostering the American insistence on freedom. Alexander Hamilton said, the sacred rights of mankind are not to be rummaged for among old parchments or musty records. They are written as with the sunbeam in the whole volume of human nature by the hand of the divinity itself. So he's saying the sacred rights of mankind are inscribed on our hearts by God himself, not something that's written on parchment as a dictate by man. So man does not give us our rights. God himself does. And God himself gives us the moral direction to want to obey those. It's one thing to have the direction. It's another thing to want to obey it. Getting some messages coming in. I know this is, I don't want to ramble on or anything, but I believe this is really speaking to a core issue that is very important to me. Thomas Jefferson said this, the God who gave us, the God who gave us life gave us liberty at the same time. The hand of force may destroy, but cannot disjoin them. That as long as you live, you also have liberty given by God. That liberty is a gift from God, not something government gives you permission to enjoy. The principles of God-given life and God-given human rights are the two wings on which the nation rose and on which it still depends. The principles of God-given life and God-given human rights are the two wings. So important. We talk about and remember these fundamental principles on which law is based. I want you to know not just what I believe, but why I believe it. And I believe this to the core, that God gives life, God gives rights. It's the role of government to protect those rights. That's why I believe in limited government. Leave government to do that, to protect my rights. And in so many ways, we see government overreach and government violating our God-given liberties. But the enjoyment of those God-given liberties only works when you fear God himself. So we have to have this call back to him, which is the point of these Oklahoma Rising events that we're doing around the state. At the Oklahoma Rising events, we're going to have worship. We're going to call people back to God, because while we need the right people in office, we must have revival as well. We must have cultural reform, calling people back to the one who gave us our rights in the first place. We're going to be doing these all around the state. I'm very excited about it. I'd love for you to be a part of it. So be sure, do this one thing, okay? Share this feed. Go ahead and share this. And then you can go to all the different platforms, X or YouTube or Facebook or Rumble, and share it there as well. Get this word out. Let people know. Help me help people know who I am as a candidate for governor. And then join us at these events. And we have ways that you can participate. We have a volunteer meeting coming up this Monday, Great Faith Church on Northwest Expressway. And it'll be from 6:30 to 8 p.m. So many ways to get involved. But we're going to start ramping up our door knocking efforts. We've got people already committed to that. And we also are organizing a keyboard warrior group. So if you are proficient at social media, if this is something you love to do, love to have you on board with that. So basically, we just need you to help us get the word out, share our upcoming events and different messages that we put out. So love to have you. There's so many ways to get involved. But guys, thank you. Be sure to live fearless. Like my shirt says this morning, the only way you live fearless is when you know that God is behind you and God is before you. God bless you all. God bless you. And please send in your messages, Jake for the state at Gmail or Jake at jakemerrickforgovernor.com. And let's see, I'm getting a message here. I'm trying to find it before I leave. I think it's for later. Yeah. Anyway, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Share this again, and hopefully I'll see you on Monday. Okay, this will be my last stream for this week. I'm doing it Monday through Friday, but also I'll be releasing the Drill Baby Drill show. So I'm excited about that, and I'll send that to you as well. All right, guys, we'll see you later.